We are in the virtual reality world, or as I guess you would say, the oasis.
Yeah, right.
While we are talking about Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One, uh, I guess I'll go first about this one since you're sort of in the oasis right now, and I'm in the real world. Oh, you could play the game if you want.
Oh, will do.
Yeah. So I just thought this was pretty much exactly what it was going to be when walking into the film. It was just a movie that was pure references, which we knew it was going to be that considering. I guess, like, did they detail what year this film was supposed to take place?
Yeah, no, they said it was like 2047 or 2045 or like something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then, if it was that year, that's sort of like the foreseeable future in a way. And I guess when they did that, I guess it was supposed to be meant for people of my generation growing up, where we kind of grew up with Back to the Future and Star Wars and The Iron Giant and stuff like that. But it felt like a movie that was much more wrapped up in its visuals than it was in actually telling stories.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it was a film that was more occupied with giving throwback references than actually, a film with a real theme. Sure, there was a plot and a theme, which is, whatever's actually in front of you is what matters, and that you shouldn't be consumed by greed because what's in this real world is what you should make it. You should love the people that are with you. But the film was very contradictory because it glorified sort of this whole virtual world that it was in. And by the end of the film, they don't really do anything to improve anyone's lives in a way. They just kind of live in the same sort of dystopian setting that they are in the beginning. And I guess that's maybe the way the book was, but for me, it fell flat, and I wasn't invested in the main character or what his end goal was, which was to find a secret Easter egg within a game so he could acquire all the assets from the game from the CEO who created it. And of course, there's a love story involved, and
Which was totally unnecessary.
yeah, it fell flat. Like it played all the familiar beats of every single Hollywood blockbuster before it, and I mean, I just knew what it was coming into it, and I walked out not feeling like this was an amazing film at all. I guess the only thing I can say about it that I liked is I liked the fact that they didn't try to make the video game world look like the real world. They kind of made it very obvious that this is a world that is virtual reality and it's unapologetically CGI. But again, just like the note I made when I was watching Isle of Dogs, that was a film that was very visually pleasing, but at least there's a story you could get behind. And here, it's literally a film that actually would have been better as a video game itself.
Oh, I totally agree.
And it's not that. It's just a film filled with sort of these very dull action sequences where the characters are going to come out okay. None of the plots or themes challenges the audience at all. It kind of made me admire Last Jedi a little bit because at least Last Jedi subverted expectations, and here this movie plays to audiences' expectations, both thematically and structurally. What were your thoughts?
I mean, I agree 100%. Like, one of my biggest problems with the end of the movie is I felt like it was kind of glorifying, like how in like South Korea there was a huge issue with those internet video game cafes with like people living at them and wasting their entire savings, etc. on them.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like that movie was kind of glorifying that lifestyle at the end, where it's just like, hey, everything's okay. We can just keep playing the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there was no character building. I didn't feel a relation to anybody. The romance felt very forced. I mean, they met twice and then they're in love. What?
Yeah. And I mean, the oddest thing was with the love story in that film is that our main character. Let me pull up his name here.
I don't even remember it. Yeah, that's how.
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
much
This
I
is
care.
like his name is okay. Our main character Wade, or his video game avatar's name, because everyone came in the form of avatars, was Arvizel. He always was friends with this other avatar named Ak or Ake or whatever.
I thought it was H.
H. That was it. Okay, H. Well, he was always in love with this character, and are not in love with it, but they were friends and they knew each other. And
it sounded like there was some tension there, like when he was talking, or when they were talking about the whole romance thing. They were like,
yeah,
something about it just seemed very romantic-y, or at least undertone-wise.
right. And yeah, they had this bond, this friendship that was I thought it would be much more dynamic, because this person thought this was a male, because that's how the avatar came out, and it was a female. But instead, he falls in love with this girl that he just met overnight, and it was like, why? Because she's black? Is that it? You know, like I'm sure that's not why, but it doesn't have sort of that Hollywood standard good look of the pretty white woman, which I don't think that was intentional on Spielberg's end, but it felt like that would have made a much more interesting story where, oh, you think he's in love with this girl, where they're working together, they're fighting this system together and trying to beat the game and get this Easter egg, but instead he falls for this person who doesn't look at all like what their avatar does in a way, and it would make for and is not even the same sex as him, where he's a straight male, and, you know, if he was gay, not that there's anything wrong with that, to paraphrase Seinfeld, it still would have been much more interesting to see sort of a love story play in a different direction that way. And I think there would have been more purpose to it.
I mean, especially for a movie that's supposed to be taking place so far in the future. You know what I mean? I mean, well, okay, not so far, but, you know, far enough to where, I mean, I don't know. That movie was just one giant cliche, nostalgic orgasm, you know?
Right.
Like, I get it. It was a cool movie, and sorry if I'm a little distracted. This is, you know.
Yeah, you're looking at quite an interesting puzzle here, it seems.
Yeah, no, just thought I'd show off some of the different VR games that the PlayStation has.
Yes. We can't afford an Oculus Rift.
I cannot. At least the computer for it. All
yeah.
Right. Okay, so there's a green thing on the... Okay, so the movie, though...
We were saying how... We talked about the love story a little bit, but like the main plot of the film essentially is there's this CEO who built this thing called the Oasis.
Yes.
It's a virtual reality world like we're doing right now. We're kind of doing a play on things. And in this virtual reality world, anyone can kind of fulfill this amazing life that they have, but they live in this sort of hopeless dystopia, you know, where it takes place in Cleveland, or not Cleveland, but Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, that's it.
If you didn't understand the reference there, Steven Spielberg's earlier films, like Close Encounters, takes place in Columbus, Ohio, because I believe that's where he's from originally.
Huh.
So that's a little part of his that he implemented there. But the main point is everything is awful. You know, it's gray, it's hopeless, kind of broken down. So this is everyone's sort of escape from reality by going into the video game, and this thing comes up from the CEO, played by Mark Rylance, who plays Roy Halladay, Anorak Halladay. Was that it?
I didn't. The only person's name I caught through that entire film was H.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I don't even know if that's right.
Right, but I think you got it right. But this Holiday guy, he basically says, I have this Easter egg, whoever finds it gains all the access to my company. And that's sort of the end goal. And then, I guess we get into spoilers a little bit. By the time we get to the end goal of the film, nothing, you know, the protagonist doesn't use it to say, you know what, let's get rid of this virtual reality and let's improve our community. Let's improve upon the world that's been destroyed that you guys pretty much helped ruin, if I were to guess. I think that would have made for a much more interesting film, where it was a movie about not just taking down the evil corporation, but maybe taking down the world that evil corporation created.
Yeah, instead of it being a giant plug for selling virtual reality. But I mean, I felt like the movie was basically just a giant plug for selling virtual reality, which, I mean, especially for when it was being advertised right before Christmas, they were trying to sell a hell of a lot of these. So
Yeah. But what do they do to, like, help improve the world? Nothing. They just improve the oasis, really, and, like, they take a couple days off in the end for people to get off the virtual reality.
yeah, 2 days.
To see their, like, this movie, I was thinking in my head, this movie's like the shitty Matrix. This is like if people knew the Matrix existed, but they just didn't care, and they just let it continue to be horrible. And that's how it felt.
There was like one part of the movie that got me pumped. And,
Yeah.
you know, that was like the main fight sequence. You know, starts it off with Twisted Sister, We're Not Going to Take It Anymore, which,
Yeah.
you know, all the music in the movie, honestly, you know, like I said, it's a nostalgic trip. It was all good music. It was all classics. It's all everything. If you were in the 80s or 90s, you're going to have a great time just pointing out all the people or all the references, you know. Like Battletoads. Can't believe they put Battletoads in there.
Right. Like, I will say, at least it was a step above Pixels. But that was about it. The movie starts out sort of with a narration explaining everything that's going on. You know, and it felt like I would have been a little more interested if there was less exposition and you were more or less thrown into this world without knowing what's going on. Because it would bring forth some interesting questions as an audience member to that film. Like, why are they in this video game world? How's this going on? And, like, maybe if they gave you little hints throughout the movie telling you how everything was the way it is, then maybe it would have been a more interesting angle rather than just kind of having everything explained to you in the very beginning.
I mean, hell, in that way, it made it feel like a video game. You know what I mean? And not a good one, because I'm watching a movie. The point of a video game is to control it, is to play it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to watch a live stream, and that's kind of essentially what it almost felt like.
Yeah, the movie was a glorified live stream. I think this is Spielberg's way of trying to connect with the younger generation and, well, you know, sort of connecting with the people who grew up maybe in the 90s like I did. But it was, you know, I couldn't have, it just felt like such a hypocritical picture. It was a movie that was just so obsessed with trying to, you know, win over audiences through its references rather than its themes.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, plot-wise, movie-wise, I'd give it like a 3 if I'm being totally honest. But visually, holy crap.
A 3 out of
10.
10. Oh wow.
Yeah, honestly, I did not think it was a good movie. Like,
right.
at all. Like, I thought, like I said, visually, it's a movie definitely worth seeing, but seeing it for a movie-wise, or like movie's sake, I don't think it held up. You know, I think that one Transformers movie that everybody hates would be more worthwhile.
Well, I can't agree with that. I will say that I don't consider it like a bad movie. I just think it's a very average movie.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it's because it's a Spielberg film. That's why I was just expecting something a little bit more. You know,
there's a little more name recognition to it.
Yeah, and you know, visually, like I said, it held up to it, but where was the awesome stories that like had me on the edge of my seat, like Indiana Jones and, you know, all those other great Spielberg flicks?
Yeah, I think Spielberg, it's not like he's a bad director. I enjoyed bad director now. I don't think he's kind of gotten George Lucas syndrome where, I mean, he got a little bit of it with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull where he took Lucas's notes on having the space aliens in the film.
Yeah, I think that might have been the beginning of the end.
Yeah, like that. Like at a certain point, you have to like not listen to what your friends tell you.
Yeah, right.
Especially when like thousands of people don't like their ideas. But with this film, I don't know. It felt like Spielberg was trying too hard to please an audience.
Oh, 100%. But
yeah, and not himself. He, especially like even something like The Post. It was a good film, but it was a movie clearly made for Oscars. You know, it's starring Academy Award winner Meryl Streep, and Tom Hanks, and who's the director? Steven Spielberg. Oh my God! And it's just kind of an okay movie. It's a pretty good movie. I liked it better than most journalism films. I actually did like it more than what was the one that won the Oscar recently about the pedophile priest?
I don't know.
How do I not know the name of this film? Spotlight. That's it.
Spotlight?
Yeah, I say Spotlight because, it's from Boston. That's kind of a common joke. But, I liked it more than that. It had a little more energy to it because you had Spielberg's visual finesse, and here Spielberg goes all in for the visuals.
Oh, yeah.
But we've kind of made that point.
Made that point.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's just like, why was it Freddy Krueger? It's just like, all right, every pop culture reference that was in this movie I appreciated, but at the same time I was confused by it. It's just like, why?
Why are they throwing in all these references to this virtual reality world?
Is this based
with
off
all
a
this
book?
cool stuff? Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have the name of the author of the book on me, but
What year was this book written? Do you know?
No. I don't know. But I believe Ernest Cline wrote the book. And of course it was a bestseller because most books that sell really well are ones that are just really stupid and simplistic.
Yep.
Like people I'm not trying to shit on what people read. I'm glad people read in general. But boy, it's either Harry Potter books or Jason Bourne or something involving lots of action. And nothing that really involves thought or subtlety, and subtlety is something that this film, and it's okay, not every film has to be subtle, but this film could have had something a little more subtle than every single obvious trait that you see in every film like it. Let's see what else. I mean, there was some interesting. There was one reference I did like, but I also felt very. How do I say, sort of curious morally about was when they had that whole homage to The Shining in the film.
Yeah.
Because Steven Spielberg, if those don't know the backstory to AI, he was speaking with Stanley Kubrick, who was a close friend of his, about directing AI. Kubrick wanted Spielberg to direct the movie because he thought it was more within Spielberg's sort of sensibilities, since it's a film about a little boy and, he learns love and stuff like that. And Kubrick, makes films that are very sort of hopeless in a way. There's a term for it. I can't remember the name of it. But, he makes films that are much more cynical.
Yeah.
And Spielberg's movies are a little more hopeful, but when you see AI, yes, it's a cynical picture, but there's a thread of hope. So anyways, he was supposed to make AI. He did. Kubrick passed away. I thought that was sort of his letter to Kubrick. A movie where he challenged himself and made something that not necessarily everyone would love, which, by the way, the whole ending with the aliens, that was Kubrick's idea, not Spielberg's. But,
no shit.
Yeah.
Really?
That was in his treatment. Having said that, when he decided to have The Shining in this film as sort of like a big moment relating to the character's end goal, I just thought, this is the strangest movie to pay homage to a friend of yours who was sort of a true filmmaker, a true artiste in a way, who wasn't occupied with pleasing audiences and what they wanted.
Maybe that's why he waited till he was dead to make it.
That's terrible. I mean, he's been dead for a very, very long time. But just having that in there in one of the films, as you said, is like one of the memeiest films you could find. The movie's meant to be a meme almost.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's like in one of the most creatively kind of bankrupt movies that he's made in a while that I can think of. I just thought, why would you pay homage to The Shining like this in this way in this film? Like, I feel like Kubrick would have rolled over in his grave if he saw that scene.
He probably did.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a very strange thing to see in that kind of movie. And then when we want to talk about the main character, who the CEO played by Mark Rylance, that everyone wanted to achieve the goal of finding his keys. His one flaw. Do you remember what his one flaw was that he always wanted?
What?
Mr. Holliday's Law.
Oh.
He wanted to kiss a girl.
Oh,
his
yeah,
flaw
that's
was he
what it
couldn't
was.
kiss
oh
a
my
girl.
God. Yeah, what the hell was that?
What? Are you fucking kidding me?
And I love how that's like almost part of the message of the film is like, hey, if you want to be a super successful genius, don't focus on sex, focus on making technology. I mean, it's like somebody literally quoted Rick and Morty. You know?
Yeah. But that was just the weirdest flaw. Like, his flaw was he had to learn how to kiss a girl. That guy is like fucking 70. How do you never get what? That's your big secret?
Well, I mean, if anything, that's a
the
huge
dude had
red
millions
flag.
of dollars. Any girl would have fucking had him. That's bullshit.
It's also a huge red flag. I mean, how many bodies did he have in his basement? You know what I mean? Like, that's a fucking warning. Ladies, run.
Yeah, that's probably why he's so fucking calm all the time. Outside of it's Mark Rylance, and Mark Rylance is always at a level 1 when it comes to how excited he is. But and of course it's supposed to tie into the whole love story, like, they never kissed, but I'm gonna break the rule and I'm gonna kiss you. And that's when god damn it, when forgettable protagonist whose name I have to pull up.
Yeah, right. The guy and girl.
When Tyler Sheridan pulled in Olivia Cook to kiss her, and it's like, no, we're in love, we gotta kiss, and that's what it's all about. Like, what the fuck?
And again,
this is the dumbest shit ever. This is the dumbest thing.
And again, second time that they ever meet in the virtual world, he says, I'm in love with you. Second time they ever meet.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? I've had some amazing first dates. Trust me. And some better second ones. But never in my fucking life have I been compelled to tell somebody that I am in love with them after meeting them twice. That's just, come on, who wrote this?
That's
a
what
13-year-old?
That's what it felt like.
Seriously.
No, Zach Penn wrote it. And if you're not familiar with Zach Penn, he wrote X-Men 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the ending was kind of sweet, I guess. When he finally runs into Mark Rylance and he says, hey, you can shut this whole thing down. They show his kid playing the little Atari, the little version of Mark Rylance. And then his kid, like, it says game over, and he's able to turn off the game and kind of do something else.
I don't think that was his kid. That was like the kid version of himself.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
It was a kid version of Mark Rylance, and that was kind of nice. Like, his kid learned how to turn off the video game and, go outside and play with a fucking stick or something.
Right.
But yeah, outside of that, I don't know. It's typical Spielberg sentimentality. It's kind of like all his flaws wrapped up in one film, almost, in a way. Like, I mean, I guess it's not as bad as 1948. Was that it? The one with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
I don't remember, actually.
But, I mean, outside of that, I would not recommend Ready Player One unless you're a little kid, or you're
on acid,
or you're on acid, or if you're just a grown man baby who can't let go of the past. Like that. Yeah, I mean, while sitting in the film, I was just waiting for it to be over.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to go out for a cigarette a few times. I was like,
Yeah, whatever. The movie's boring. So, are there any final notes you would take on this film?
Maybe it was a little too harsh with a 3 out of 10, or whatever. I'll give it a 4, maybe a 4.5, just because visually it really was fucking beautiful. But I think you got better ways to spend your weekends, people. Like, I would not see this film.
Yeah, I already suggested what movie you should see.
Yeah, if I had to make a suggestion, go see Black Panther. Fuck it.
Again, I think we've seen Black Panther to death, but yeah, go check out Black Panther.
Yeah, screw it. Or, you know what? Check out a classic.
There you go. Get a Filmstruck account and go see some classic movies. Go see some of Spielberg's older films. Those are really good. I like those movies. I'd say, yeah, I'd give it 6 out of 10. You give it a 4.5.
Yeah, final score 4.5. You know,
Yeah.
it had a damn good music score, and the visuals.
Well, it's
were
John
stunning.
Williams.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, John Williams scores all of Spielberg's movies. Or I could be wrong. It could be somebody else, and I didn't do my research, and people are going to call me out on it, and I'm the internet. Please, comment sport. Tell me why I suck at life.
Dude, you should start having Danny Elfman do the music.
No. No. Alright. Anyways, I guess that about covers it. Next time when you do Ready Player One, make it a video game.
For real. Make it real VR.
I know it's going to be difficult, but so what? Your game, your movie, whatever, your fucking book will live in infamy. Not this shit. Fuck 'em. Goodbye.